Boston winter mornings are harsh. The wind, blowing from Massachusetts Bay, cut through the valleys between skyscrapers and rattled the windows of Mary Williams' apartment. Mary had been up since early morning working. As an architect, her reputation was excellent, and she needed to finish a new project proposal by tomorrow morning. The phone rang, and Mary looked up from her drawings. It was her mother. "Good morning, Mom." "Mary, can you come soon for the final preparations for Ashley's wedding?" Judith's voice had a hint of anxiety. "We also have the final fitting for your dress." Mary sighed deeply. "I know, I'm planning to come in the afternoon. I'd like you to come by 11, if possible. Ashley wants everyone together for brunch." "But, Mom, I have a project deadline. I have work." "Talk again." Her mother's voice immediately turned cold. "This is your sister's once-in-a-lifetime wedding. You always prioritize work." "That's not true," Mary objected, but she heard her mother's sigh. "Anyway, please come as soon as you can. Dad and Ashley are waiting." The call ended, and Mary quietly put down her phone. Looking out the window, she remembered how, since her teenage years, she had worked part-time at fast food restaurants to help with family expenses and earned money for her architecture studies. Meanwhile, her sister Ashley had received full financial support from their parents, attended a prestigious university, and now worked as a manager at a luxury boutique. A new message arrived on Mary's phone. It was from Ashley. "Mary, don't be late today. Jason's mother is coming too, so lunch with the whole family is really important." Seeing Jason Harrison's name, Mary flinched momentarily. Ashley's fiancé was a man Mary had met during her college years. It was a fact nobody knew, and something she could never tell Ashley in particular. As Mary headed for the bathroom, she thought about her complicated relationship with her family. Her parents, especially her father Robert, had always favored her sister. Even when Mary succeeded in her architectural career, the topic quickly ended and conversation shifted to Ashley's latest achievements or plans. While showering, Mary thought about the uneasy atmosphere she had felt recently. Since Ashley's engagement announcement, she felt her parents' attitude toward her had grown even colder. Phone calls decreased, and her opinions were increasingly disregarded at family gatherings. After getting ready, Mary left to pick up her wedding dress. In the car, she thought about her success and her estranged relationship with her family. Despite being one of Boston's most highly regarded architects, in her family's eyes, she always seemed to be viewed as cold and a workaholic. When she arrived at the dress shop, Ashley and their mother were already waiting. Mary didn't miss how Ashley's expression stiffened slightly. "Finally, you're here." Ashley's voice sounded cheerful, but her eyes weren't smiling. "Jason's sister will be here soon. I think you two will get along." Mary smiled awkwardly. "Yes, I'm looking forward to it." In the fitting room, Mary tried on her dress. Looking at herself in the mirror, she thought something was off, not just her family's attitude, but something unsettling about the entire wedding. She was particularly concerned about the subtle glances Ashley gave her whenever Jason's name came up. "Mary, have you met Jason before?" Ashley suddenly asked. Mary's heart stopped for a moment. "No, why?" "Just wondering, when he heard your name, his reaction was a bit strange." "Must be your imagination." Mary maintained her composure. "How would we have met?" Ashley said nothing and returned her gaze, as if satisfied with Mary's answer. However, Mary's anxiety only grew. Did Jason remember her? And if he did, had he said anything to Ashley? As Mary took off her dress, she resolved to investigate the source of tension in the family before the wedding. Something was happening, and she distinctly felt that this something involved her. On the wedding day, luxury cars lined up in front of St. Patrick's Church in Boston, with elegantly dressed people arriving one after another. Mary arrived at the venue slightly late. She had sent apologetic messages to her parents, who had called her several times that morning, but there was no reply. At the church entrance, Mary took a deep breath. Dressed in an emerald green gown, she composed herself, like presenting an architectural project. This too was a kind of performance. Miss Mary Williams, a young staff member, approached her. "Your family seats are this way." Mary was surprised to see the indicated seats. They were far from the front row where parents and relatives sat, positioned instead along the side of the church. "Excuse me, I'm the bride's sister. Shouldn't I be in the family section?" The staff looked confused. "I'm sorry, the seating chart specifies this." Mary nodded quietly and headed to the assigned seat. Looking around the church, she saw her father and mother chatting with relatives in the front row. Although she must have been in their line of sight, her parents made no effort to look at her. During the 30 minutes before the ceremony began, Mary tried to approach her parents, but someone always intervened, interrupting conversations. Finally, she managed to speak to her mother. "Mom, my seat seems to have been changed. It's not with the family." Judith glanced at her daughter and said coldly, "Ashley decided the seating. It's her special day, so we should respect her wishes." "But why just me, Mom?" Her mother's voice was low and restrained. "Today is Ashley's day. Don't cause problems." Mary stepped back at her mother's words. Problems? Was she suggesting that Mary had caused some kind of trouble? "I'd like to greet Ashley. Where is she?" Mary asked. "She's very busy now," her mother answered without meeting her eyes. "There's so much to prepare before the ceremony begins." Robert, her father, approached. His expression hardened subtly when he saw Mary. "Robert, Mary wants to greet Ashley," Judith told her husband. "That's not possible now." Robert's voice was colder than usual. "Ashley is busy with preparations. Besides," he broke off. "Besides what?" Mary prompted. "Nothing," her father said. "Return to your seat. The ceremony is about to begin." Mary left her parents and went outside the church. Something was wrong. She took out her cell phone and sent a message to Ashley. "Are you in the dressing room? I'd like to say hello." The reply came immediately. "I'm busy now, after the ceremony." Mary sighed. Outside the church, she happened to meet Mike, Jason's best friend. Mary remembered Mike's name and face from her college days with Jason. "Hello, Mike," Mary called out. "I'm Mary, Ashley's sister." Mike looked surprised and stared at Mary. "Oh, yes, hello." His reaction was visibly awkward. "It's been a while," Mary said. "Have you been friends with Jason since college?" The color drained from Mike's face. "College? Did you also, with Jason at college?" "No, I don't know him," Mary quickly said. "I just meant he talks about you a lot." "Oh, I see." Mike seemed relieved. "Yes, we've been friends for a long time." The conversation continued unnaturally, with Mike checking his watch repeatedly. "Excuse me, I need to find Jason," he said, hastily departing. Mary was confused by Mike's reaction. He seemed to be hiding something. As she walked back toward the church, she overheard Jason and Mike's voices from behind a small terrace. "Did you talk to her?" Jason's voice was tense. "Yes, just briefly," Mike answered, "but I don't think she knows anything. At least she didn't act like it." "Good," Jason sighed. "Ashley thinks she knows something. That's why she's so nervous." "You really didn't tell her anything?" Mike asked. "About college?" "Of course not." Jason's voice rose slightly. "If I did, everything would be ruined. But she might find out someday." "We'll deal with that when it happens," Jason said. "Just don't cause any trouble today, especially stay away from Mary." Mary caught her breath. They were clearly talking about her, and Jason was hiding something from college. She quietly left and returned to the church. She tried to piece together the fragmented information in her head but couldn't see the complete picture. Jason was hiding from Ashley that he knew Mary, and that was making Ashley nervous. But why? Just before the ceremony began, Mary took her seat. Her mind was confused, but her expression remained calm. The church pipe organ resounded, and all attendees stood up. While waiting for the bride's entrance, Mary looked around the venue. Her parents' tense expressions, Jason's anxious eyes, and the curious glances directed at her from several people mixed among the guests. Not understanding what was happening, Mary watched Ashley enter on their father's arm. Her sister's face was smiling, but her eyes were cold and never once looked in Mary's direction. Mary's heart was racing as she made her way to the bar, trying to steady herself. Her head was spinning, and she was still trying to make sense of everything that had just happened. She ordered a ginger ale and sat in a quiet corner, hoping the drink would help calm her nerves. "Are you Mary?" A voice startled her, and she turned to find a young woman standing there. "I'm Carol, Jason's cousin," she said with a smile. "Nice to meet you," Mary replied, trying to hide the unease she felt. "Is it true you tried to seduce your sister's fiancé?" Carol asked, her voice blunt. Mary froze. "Excuse me? Everyone's talking about it," Carol said, leaning in slightly. "They say you had a thing with Jason in college, and now you're trying to win him back." Mary felt her stomach drop. "That's a complete lie," she said, her voice trembling. "Who would say something like that?" "Ashley," Carol shrugged. "She told the whole family." That's why no one's talking to you. The words hit Mary like a punch to the gut. Her sister had said this about her. That's why her family had been so cold, avoiding her all night. Excuse me, Mary murmured, struggling to keep her composure, and quickly made her way to the restroom. Inside, she looked at herself in the mirror, her face pale, tears were already streaking down her cheeks. She wiped them away just as the door opened, and a woman in an elegant dress walked in. "Oh, you must be Mary," the woman said with a slight flinch. "I'm Eleanor, Jason's sister." Mary quickly wiped her tears away. "Nice to meet you," she said, forcing a smile. "Are you okay?" Eleanor asked, but her tone felt distant, not truly concerned. "Yeah," Mary lied, her voice cracking, "just tired." Eleanor started touching up her makeup. "I've heard a lot about you," she said casually, "that you abandoned your family to focus on your career." Mary's eyes widened. "What? That's not true. Ashley told us," Eleanor said coldly. "She said you left home when you went to college and never came back, that you didn't help your sister or parents." Mary was shaking now, her chest tightening with anger and hurt. "That's not what happened. I went to college, yes, but I came back every weekend to help at home." "Well," Eleanor shrugged, uninterested, "it's none of my business, just don't hurt Ashley today." After Eleanor left, Mary locked herself in a stall and let the tears flow. She had never abandoned her family. In fact, she had sacrificed so much for them. She had helped pay for Ashley's education when their parents struggled, and even dipped into her own savings to cover their expenses. As she wiped her tears, she pulled out her phone and looked at an old picture of her and Jason from college. They had known each other, but there had never been a romantic relationship. Jason had liked her, but she had always been too focused on her family to think about romance. Now everything made sense. Ashley had learned about their past, and out of jealousy, she had twisted the truth into lies, and by saying Mary had abandoned them, she had completely distorted Mary's character. Mary left the restroom, her face set with determination. She went to the cloakroom, grabbed her coat, and headed for the exit. "Leaving already?" the cloakroom attendant asked, surprised. "Yeah," Mary said quietly, "I remembered something I need to do." Before she left the venue, she glanced back one last time. At the head table, Ashley and Jason were smiling, cutting the cake, and posing for photos. Her parents were beaming with pride. No one even seemed to notice that Mary was gone. Outside, the snow had started to fall. She took a taxi home, her heart heavy with the weight of the lies her family believed. They didn't know the truth, they preferred to listen to Ashley's version. When she arrived at her apartment, she sat down in the silence. The truth was clear to her. She had supported her family for years, but none of it had been recognized. Now, she was completely isolated. Mary poured herself a glass of wine and sank into her sofa. The city lights of Boston twinkled outside her window, but inside, she felt numb. Her phone lay on the coffee table, a reminder of the calls and messages that had come in after she left. There were records of everything: money transfers, tuition payments for Ashley, help with the mortgage, but none of it mattered. Ashley's lies had erased it all. Mary's phone rang again. This time, it was Ashley. She didn't answer. Then came calls from her parents, and surprisingly, from Jason. Now they wanted to reach out. Mary chuckled bitterly to herself. A message from Mike appeared on her screen. "I want to apologize for what happened at the engagement party. I was drunk and talked too much about Jason's college days. I revealed that you were his first love. Now there's chaos." Mary's breath caught in her throat. Mike had let the truth slip, but that wasn't all. The phone rang again, this time from an unknown number. She picked up. "Hello?" she asked, her voice tense. "Hi, it's Eleanor, Jason's sister," the woman said. "We met in the restroom." Mary's heart raced. "What do you want?" "I owe you an apology," Eleanor said, sounding sincere. "I didn't know the truth about everything you did for your family. When my mother collapsed at the venue, Mike started talking about how you supported your family, including paying for Ashley's tuition, and how Ashley had lied about you." "What?" Mary asked, stunned. Eleanor continued. "Mike also mentioned how Jason was crazy about you in college, but you turned him down because of your responsibilities at home. My mom couldn't believe it, and Jason admitted to hiding his past from Ashley, and Ashley, she had to admit the lies she told." Mary didn't know how to respond. Eleanor went on. "The whole venue is in chaos now. Jason's family is furious, and Ashley's crying. Your parents don't know how to handle the truth. What should I do? Mary asked quietly. Please, come back, Eleanor pleaded. Our family wants to know the truth. We want to apologize for misunderstanding you. Mary didn't answer right away. She hung up and stood by the window, feeling a strange mix of anger, sadness, and freedom. The truth had come out, and she felt lighter somehow. She laughed quietly to herself. That night, Mary stayed at a hotel, and the next morning, she wrote a long letter to her family. She detailed everything: how she had worked through college, how she supported them financially, and how Ashley had twisted the truth out of jealousy. After sending the letter, she turned on her phone. It immediately started ringing. Her father was calling. Mary, his voice trembled. We read your letter. And? Mary asked, keeping her voice steady. Is all this true? He asked, disbelief in his tone. It's all true, Mary replied calmly. I've always done my best for the family, but you never saw it. You always believed Ashley. I see, her father said, regret heavy in his voice. We were blind. How's Ashley? Mary asked. She's confused, her father answered. Her relationship with Jason is in trouble. His family is furious, and they're withdrawing their support. They're in counseling. Mary sighed. I don't want revenge. I just wanted the truth to be known. Please come home, Mary, her father begged. We need to talk. Mary took a deep breath. I need time. After hanging up, Mary reflected on everything. She didn't want to hurt her family, but the truth had finally come out, and she couldn't go back to living in lies. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: she would no longer hide who she was. A few months later, she sat in a park by the Charles River, watching the colorful leaves drift by. Her mother, Judith, appeared and sat beside her. Ashley's still in therapy, Judith said softly. She's starting to understand her jealousy. I understand, Mary replied quietly. And Jason? She asked. They're still together, Judith said, but it's hard. Jason's family is still angry, and they're in counseling too. Mary thought for a moment, taking a sip of her coffee. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted the truth to come out. And Dad? Mary asked. He's reflecting, Judith said quietly. We didn't realize what you'd done for us. We took it all for granted. Mary squeezed her mother's hand, the anger starting to fade. It's a start. Ashley's starting to tell her friends the truth, Judith added. She's embarrassed, but she's beginning to see her mistakes. Mary smiled softly. It'll take time, but I'll try. As they sat there together, the sun broke through the clouds. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And that was enough for Mary. Later that night, her phone buzzed with a message from Ashley. Mary, I'm sorry, I couldn't meet you, but I want to apologize. You were a wonderful sister, and I didn't deserve to treat you that way. Mary stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed back. Ashley, contact me when you're ready. I'll be here. Mary set her phone down and let out a long breath, watching the stars begin to shine in the Boston sky. The future was uncertain, but she knew one thing: it was hers to shape.